Hey internet, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by today. So, you just opened Blender. What are we going to do now? I think today this video we're just gonna kind of hang out and get to know this whole user interface because it can be a little daunting at first, but I've been using it for a few days now, and I'm starting to really enjoy it. So okay, so let's get into it. Um, you open it up and you have this in front of you. What to do next? So the very first thing that I like to do is I like to kind of adjust my interface to my liking. Um, I'm really big on shortcut keys and on like having everything at my fingertips. I don't like to have to go look through everything for it. So the very first thing I went and looked how to do was how to change this screen. And what you can do is, it took me a while to figure this out, but if you hold up in these corners, you'll see this little plus sign over here as well, plus sign down here. What you can do is you can take this plus sign and you can drag over and literally open another screen. So that's the first thing I would do, and then I would take this plus sign and then drag it down as well. And then we're gonna use these two views. We're gonna go up here, and this will be our editor type. We want to put this one on shader editor. This is gonna be like our materials and everything. And then this one will actually just use it for this is viewport shading, but this is our render. This shows everything like our renderer will. Like it doesn't look too much right now because we don't have anything in our scene, but this is what we'll use to check all this stuff out. And then once you have everything to your liking, and you want to use this as your workspace every time you open it, you can come up here and you can hit File, go to Defaults, and you can hit Save Startup File. Excuse me. What this is going to do is this is going to, I already have my own, so I'm going to actually close this whole entire thing, and I'll restart it. This will allow you to have your own little setup. This is what mine looks like every time I open it up. It's right here. I've already pre-deleted the cube, so I don't have to worry about it. I have this little shortcut thing. What this is, I have it open too, so I don't forget to hit it. What this does, and I'll put a link in the description, you could hit this Start Shortcut VUR, and what it does is down here you'll see these little three things pop up. This is my left click, my middle click, and my right click. And also it'll show all the other keys if I hit them. All that good stuff, so you can kind of follow along and see what I'm doing. So now we made it this far. What are we gonna do? Let's try to create something. So I don't want to do the whole cube and all that like every other tutorial out there. So what we're gonna do, we're going to make some text. And if you hit this little add button right here, it'll bring up all these objects that you can put into your scene. We're gonna end up going to the text, but another way to do this so you don't have to like go up here all the time is if you hover over this, it'll say shortcut Shift A. So if we hold Shift A, it'll bring this up, and then we can just select it here. It's a whole lot faster. So now we added our text. If you look here, it's a little flat. I'm in wireframe mode, so you can change it up here to, this is the wireframe, this is the regular, this is the shader again, like down there. But we're gonna mostly work in this whole viewport right here on this solid mode. So we have our text. It's really flat. It's off to the side. What do we do? How do we fix it? So there's a couple things we can do. We can select it, and we can go over here to the object properties, and then we can play around with these rotations and try to figure out which one it is. A few little indications. If you see right here, this is this red line right here. You go up here and you see this red line. This is our x-axis, this is our y-axis, and then our z-axis is going straight up and down, like if we were looking sideways like this, going this direction. So that kind of gives you a quick hint that this is the x-axis. So if we rotate this, We know that we're rotating it on the right axis. So we want to keep it up here about 90 degrees, and that's straight up and down. So another quick way to do that, just like how we held the shortcut for Shift A, or let's put this back at 0 and I'll show you. If you go over here on this side, this is our movement properties, these three. And for moving, you hold a shortcut as G, and for scale rotating, the shortcut is R. For scale, the shortcut is S. So we're rotating this, so we want to press R, and now we can rotate, but I mean, if you look at it, it's rotating all these weird directions. So what we can do to get it to rotate the correct way, and remember, if you do something and you don't want to keep it like that, you can always press the right mouse click to get out of it. So what we want to do, we're going to hold R, and then we can select these particular letters, so Y, Z, and X, to go along this axis. So if we go R and then we hold down X, we're only rotating on that X axis now. And since we know we want it at 90, we can just type in, you don't have to click nothing, just type in 90. So that'll put us right in the right direction. So I'm going to do that one more time real fast. Let's just get rid of this text for a second. So we're going to hold Shift A, drop in some text, hold R, X, 90, and it's that quick. Instead of having to go in here, look for something, go over here and change these properties. Shortcut keys are your best friend when you're doing graphic design. Okay, so now that we have that done, we want to give this text a little bit of life. Right now it's just super flat and it's not very appealing. So what we can do, by the way, to move around in this viewport, if you're using a mouse wheel, so I'm scrolling in and out, and then when I hold down the middle mouse button, we get this kind of ability to rotate around whatever point it is. And then if we hold down Shift and also the middle mouse button, we can move it like this. So you can zoom, move over, rotate, and just like kind of get yourself around the port a little easier without having to come, move all this stuff. This little grab hand lets you grab this and move it the same way. This lets you zoom in and out the same way. So you could do it that way and then just do like this if you want, but it's a whole lot easier using these shortcut keys and everything and just moving around. So let's go ahead and give this text a little bit of life. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the object, and we're going to go over here to this little tab. This is the object data property. Yes, there's a lot here, but we're not going to go over it all today. So let's go ahead and close this shape. And we're going to mainly work with this geometry right here. We do a couple other things, but this geometry is what I wanted to start with first. Now, this extrude, we're not going to mess with the offset, but extrude, this will let you widen your text. You can literally go for miles, but I mean, there's certain instances where I do wide text when I'm doing a top view or something, but for the most part, I like to keep it kind of clean. We're going to do this at 0.15. And then you look right here, we have really, really sharp angles. So we don't really want those angles being this sharp. So what we can do is we can go right here, and the same underneath the geometry, there's a bevel, and we can make this depth a little more where it's rounded off. Now we don't want it to be like that massive because it looks ugly. But what we can do is we can select it, and let's start with like 0.002 maybe, and then we have a nice little rounded edge. The reason we want to do it like this is because when we do different things, if you see how it's like bright white right there, these are where our shadows will cast, and we'll get nice lighting on it. So once you have it like this, we can change this resolution right here. That's right next to it. You'll see the depth and the resolution. What this is if I zoom in right here and I show you this and wireframe, you'll see there's 2 outside edges. Those are, we're not counting those, but in between it, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our resolution. So if we crank this up, there'd be a whole lot more here, little lines. It'll make it look a lot smoother, but it'll also increase our vertices and our faces. We don't really want that. You don't really want that much detail in something like this. So we can back that back down. If we went to, say if we went all the way to 0, then it'd be just a flat edge. It'll give it like a nice chiseled edge. Maybe that's something you're looking for in your particular piece. There's just different options. We're going to crank this back up to 3 looks good for that little. Like the more you increase the depth, the more you will have to increase the resolution. So just keep that in mind. But for what we're doing, we're gonna just leave it like that. Go back to this solid viewport so we can see what we're doing. And what we can do now, if you look at this text, you'll see that these are kind of spaced apart, and then this has a big gap right here because it's spacing it off of this edge of the T and this edge of the E. So in order to fix that, we need to get into our text and change it. To do that, oh my goodness, it took me so long. I was looking all through here trying to figure out how to change the text. What you do is you select the object and you'll press tab. Once you see this line, this is like just a blinking cursor kind of. We can back this off and put like name or whatever else. Let's leave it as text for now because I want to show you how to fix this little opening error. What you can do is you can come over here in between it, and there's a thing that's goes around pretty universal. It's in Photoshop and it's in a bunch of other apps. It's called kerning, and what you do is you hold down Alt, and while you're holding down Alt, you can use the arrow keys and move it over like incremental, and then you can get something that's like, I don't know, like a little more like close to what you want, what everything else is. So once you have that the way you want it, you're good to go. What we're gonna do right now is we're gonna change this font because I don't really like this font. This is just the default one. So let's go ahead and hit let's change it real quick to name. I'm gonna do all capital letters, and we'll hit tab again. And the way this is right now, this is our center point. This is the center of everything. Our text is off to the right a little bit. The reason that is because if we go over here back to our text data properties, we can go here to alignment, and this is our horizontal alignment. This is our vertical alignment. Right now you see the left, it's pulling it out from the left. So from the left to the right. If we change this to right, then it'll be from the right all the way to the left. What we want to do, let's put this as the center, and then that way this is centered between our text. Our text is centered on everything. Another thing, let me show you something. Say I bring this out here, right? Not really this, but say we're working on this text, right? We're moving around, we're doing everything, and say we accidentally move over here. And now when we're trying to get around our text, it's like, it's really hard. You try to, okay, put it in the center, it's still not right. Try to put it here, it's still not right. I'm not spinning around it how I want to be. What you can do is select that, and then over on your numpad, hit period. What that does, that centers the object, and now we're spinning around just that object itself. So there's another cool little trick for you. So let's go ahead and change this font. What I want to do is go into this font property, and we're gonna go over here, and you're gonna select it. It should find your font folder. If not, where your font folder is, you'll hit Windows C, go to Windows, and then scroll down for F fonts. This will bring up all your system fonts. Now I have a massive amount of fonts. I have too many fonts. So I actually need to go through and clean some up, but it takes a while for mine to load. Might not take as long for yours. But the font I want to use, and I will leave a link for it in the description as well. I'm going to use, it's called Amazoo or something like that. Getting close, guys. Okay, there it is. This one right here. I love this font. So now that we have our name, let's put some color on it. So let's first go ahead and we're gonna hit this add again. So we're gonna use our shortcut Shift A. We're gonna go to mesh and we're gonna add a plane. What this is, it's kind of like a floor. And I moved this little center cursor thing so it's up there, but I'm just gonna bring this down a little bit. We'll get into all that later. We want to make this a little bigger, so we're gonna hit, remember our shortcut keys, we're gonna hit S to scale, and we're gonna just hit 50. This will bring it 50 in every direction. We didn't hit S, X, X, Y, X, Z because we don't want it to scale in one particular direction. We want it to scale everywhere. So we go over here and open up this a little bit more. Let's go to this view and then go to our render. Now we can see this is what our render is going to look like. We have text, people. So what we want to do, let's before we get into this, let me show you a little bit about this camera. So right now, if we go into the camera, our camera is way up here. So we can go into, we can highlight our camera and go into the location, and we can try to move this and play around and get it where we want it, and rotate it, and try to do it like this where it's a lot harder like to do. Or what you can do is you can, if this is closed, hit the N key and it brings up all these little properties. So I do that a lot. Let's get used to pushing N. Go over here to view with your camera highlighted, and hit lock camera to view. And what this does, once you see these red little lines around it, everywhere we go while we're moving around, that's where our camera view is now. So now if I go right here, turn this on, you're gonna see our camera's moving around. When we move around, our camera moves. This will only happen if this lock camera to view is on. Once we get it in the position we want, the camera, what I like to do is do that and then unlock it. And now I can work around, do all this work, and do little edit stuff, and then just hit this button right here, and I automatically go back in this view. Hit this button, I'm automatically in this. So that's a really good thing to know. Another thing, sometimes I don't like seeing all this outside. I only want to see what my camera wants to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this camera right here with the camera selected. I'm going to go to viewport display, and down here to I don't know what that is, I apologize. But I'm going to open this and I'm going to turn the opacity up to 1. And now all I see is what's in the camera. I mean, you can go like this still, but once you hit the camera, this is what everyone's going to see when you render your picture. So it gives you a little more feel for what you're making. So let's go ahead and make some material now. We're going to select our text, and this is where we're going to use this. Please don't be intimidated. I was very intimidated by this at first, but I'm going to explain it very well to you right now. So we're going to go, this is our material property. We want to click the material and we want to hit new. Now if you scroll in here, you're going to see all this stuff, and this really confused me. I was like, oh my God, what is all this? What am I connecting this to? I don't know what to connect this to. It's a lot easier than that. So this just means we added a material. Everything that's in here is right here under the material properties. When we change something here, it changes here. When we change something here, it changes up here. So if you look here, we have this. Let's put the viewport up in this one for now so we can see it a little easier. We have this material, right? This nice material. If we want to, this just kind of what this viewport does, we're going to connect things later. I don't think we will today, but this just lets you see what it's doing, what's connecting to what's doing everything. And it's pretty much all color coordinated as well. So again, don't get intimidated by this. What we're going to do right now though, we're going to just make this material, and we're going to play around with its settings so you can figure out what we're going to do. What the base color is, that's just our base color, obviously. Metallic, that makes it have a little more, this is more flat, rubber looking. This is more metallic. If you want to make it even more metallic looking, you can take this roughness and you can bring this down, and this will give it kind of a glossy, shiny feel. And then you get some reflections from the floor and everything. If we were to bring in say a icosphere and we right click on it, we'll get into all this later, so don't worry about this. I'm going to select this sphere. I'm going to add a modifier. I'll go over these as well later, but I'm just showing you for the sake of this tutorial. And we add a subdivision surface. This basically makes it more round. If we increase this right here, you'll see it even more round. So let's go, we're gonna scale this thing again. So we're gonna hit S, and let's do 0.2. We don't want it to be too big. And then just click anywhere out here. Now let's go ahead and just set it down on the ground, kind of. I'm using this viewport to kind of see as a reference where it is, because it's a lot easier to see without the textures. But if you see, now we have that reflection of that ball in there, and that's because we brought the roughness down. If we go back to the text and we bring this roughness up, it's gonna give it a more fuzzy look. You can still kind of, you can kind of bring it like mid if you want it to be like a reflection but not visible what it is. Just a bunch of different things you can do. Another thing we can do to make the spice up this text, we're gonna we'll go over this more in the next tutorial, but you can take these and you can Control C, Control V, and once you get the second one, you can go in the properties and you can mess with the extrude, and you can, let's say we'll make this one only 13. We'll make it smaller, right? It's that much smaller on both sides. But if we bring the depth up, then what it does, it pops out. So now we have like this border, right? So say we want to click on this one and we want to change this base color to a white. And then we'll bring the metallic down, bring the roughness down, and bring that specular down. And now what you have a little more, you know, character on your text, a little whatever. There's a million things we can do. We're going to get into this a little more later. I just wanted to show you kind of what you can do with this. We're going to go over two more things. Let's go ahead and bring in it's called a HDRI, but it's going to be our background image basically. So we've gone over the shader port for our objects. Each individual objects will pop up here. But if we go here and select object and go to world, this is our whole entire, our whole world. This is everywhere. So what we want to do to just bring in a little better lighting than this one simple light we have sitting right here, we're going to hit this viewport. What we're going to do, we want to go over here and just click somewhere out here, because you don't want to end up deleting this one. We want to keep this one, but we're going to just select these three and hit delete. Now it's real dark. I mean, that might be the look you're going for. You might be going for something like this and just increase that light. But if you're not, this is what you're going to do. We're going to add a texture, which is a image texture. Oh my god, my program crashed. Okay, well, I think we're going to end this particular tutorial right here, but stick around in the next one, and we're gonna go over all this stuff, and we'll get more into creating in text and all that. I apologize for that. I appreciate you guys coming and stopping by. I'm using a beta version of Blender, which is 2.81. I showed you guys in my last video. It does have a couple bugs. That's like the third time it's crashed on me. It is what it is. But anyways, I appreciate you all. Until next time, hope you have a fantastic day. Talk to you later.